知道为什么现在越来越多的男人他都不需要女人了吗？
Ever wonder why more and more men these days seem to have no need for women? The reason is actually pretty straightforward, boiling down to 3 main points, but fair warning, what I'm about to say might sting a bit. First, society today has men completely chained to money, their entire lives squeezed dry by endless responsibilities. Many women treat dating like a hunt for a rich guy, talking love with wealthy men but only discussing money with average guys, with no feelings involved. If a woman's scraping by with just a couple of bucks, she'll still splurge using credit apps or cards, shamelessly buying clothes worth thousands while acting broke but living large. Meanwhile, men are stuck supporting the family, grinding to pay off mortgages and car loans, taking care of aging parents, and funding their kids' endless tutoring classes. On top of that, the wife's obsessed with keeping up appearances, demanding extravagant gestures for every holiday, craving romance and vibes. A man spends his whole life slaving away to earn money, desperately trying to hold the family together, only to end up with nothing but a lifetime of criticism. Everything he earns goes to the kids or the wife. His wages are hers, leaving him with just his sweat, frustration, and grievances. Yet women still complain, saying men are faking a smile every day, acting tough and saying, "I'm fine, I'm not tired," even when they're breaking inside. Second, in real life, over 90% of men face their wife's contempt or disdain. Brothers out there feeling this, give me a nod. Many are treated like hired hands or just a money-making machine, especially the honest, frugal guys who know how to live simply. They're the ones looked down on the most. The reason isn't that they lack ability, but that they're not romantic or charming enough. Some women even call their husbands useless, blaming them for a declining quality of life. And the third point, which is crucial, have you noticed in today's society, if a woman has no money, 90% of men will still step up to support her? But flip it around. If a man says he's broke, over 90% of women will bolt faster than you can blink, leaving him to lick his wounds alone. Nobody really knows what he's been through or how broken and helpless he feels. The woman who walks away? She'll just shrug and call him a failure. For these men, even a shred of affection feels pointless. They don't want it anymore. That's why they're done pretending to be naive, done with love, and definitely done wasting time. If loving someone makes them feel so low, why not keep their money, spend it on themselves or their parents, and live freely and happily? So, tell me, don't you think I'm onto something here?
等在你的就死。
意思我就只能找一个二婚的，然后再跟他生一个。
The past doesn't matter much. What truly matters is that the future can have you by his side. But then the question arises, what if I end up with a man who has been married 2 or even 3 times? Why should I be the one to accept that? The truth is, many men won't say it directly, but deep down they feel uneasy about older single women. In fact, some would rather marry a divorced woman because at least she seems cleaner compared to someone who has had a long, messy dating history. But what about older single women? Just because they've never been married, does that automatically make them unclean? I'm not saying this applies to everyone, but honestly, many people believe older women tend to have more complicated lives. Are you talking about me? Because I'm not like that. What I mean is this. Men need to be cautious when dating older women. It's like driving through a dangerous road. You have to be extra careful. But that sounds like you're saying older women don't deserve love at all. Being a stepmother, however, isn't necessarily a bad thing. You could gain a child who might even become closer to you than your own biological one. You're oversimplifying it. Children don't just accept a stepmother so easily. Still, many divorced men, especially single fathers, are often deeply grateful to the woman who joins their family. They and their children may come to appreciate her more than you imagine. That might be true in some cases, but certainly not all. You can't generalize like that. But let's face it, you're already in your 30s. You can't expect to meet a never-married man as easily as when you were in your 20s. I'm not against divorced men, but I don't want to deliberately seek out someone who already has kids. If genuine feelings develop, That's different, but why should I force myself otherwise? Here's the hard truth. Successful, never-married men most likely won't choose you. That's why many older women eventually end up as stepmothers. That may be your opinion, but I believe everyone has the right to pursue happiness in their own way, without having to surrender to the so-called fate you're describing.
中国的男人已经不会愿意再为女生支付一辈子的生活。
You must understand, a major ideological shift is happening. Chinese men are no longer willing to bear the entire cost of a woman's life, from buying a house and car to paying a bride price, to the expectation that their own mothers will raise the children. Men have awakened. They increasingly realize that paying such an enormous cost to marry a wife is an investment with a diminishing return. This isn't just about practical actions. It's a fundamental ideological shift, and ideology is the precursor to reality. Once the mindset changes, actions will inevitably follow. Take the pandemic as an example. Before, we spent money freely. But after experiencing layoffs and income reduction, our ideology shifted. We realized money isn't easy to earn, and there might be times we can't earn it at all. This mindset becomes deeply ingrained, turning us into cautious spenders who only use money on what truly matters. Once an ideology is formed, it doesn't disappear unless another major historical event creates a new one. Now, let's apply this to marriage. After witnessing countless stories of marriage scams, crippling debt from weddings, or families pouring all their resources into a son's marriage only for the daughter-in-law to quickly divorce and take half the assets, men's ideology has transformed. They start asking, why, as a man, must I be the one to pay for dates, buy gifts, and please her? Why, in marriage, must the financial burden be entirely one-sided? When millions of Chinese men start asking why, a collective ideology is formed. As a result, men will no longer accept the old model. Instead, they will actively seek women who are not so exploitative or materialistic. They desire a genuine partnership, where both individuals build a future together. This isn't my personal decision. It's a self-preservation mechanism, a way of survival formed after countless setbacks. So, when women feel this is unfair or unacceptable, you must understand that you cannot compare it to the ideology of the past. This is the new reality. If you don't accept it, the reality remains unchanged. Look, even foreign women in Shanghai are holding signs saying they don't need a bride price, a house, or a car to find a Chinese husband. The historical tide has turned. Chinese women should also reflect a little. Life after marriage is a 50-50 responsibility for both partners. But the process leading to marriage, the one that requires immense financial resources just to get a wife, that tradition will slowly but surely fade and disappear. It will be a gradual process, but it will diminish year after year.
如果女生说要找一个有上进心的男生，那你赶快跑。
If a woman ever says, I'm looking for a man with ambition, the best thing you can do is run. Let me give you an example. See that girl over there? Born in 1990, now 33 years old. Back when she first graduated from university, she said she wanted an ambitious man. So, her family introduced her to a guy born in 1989, a graduate from a prestigious 985 university, working in a government office. His family wasn't wealthy, but he worked part-time all through college, graduated on his own, and even managed to save enough money to buy a home without asking for a single cent from his parents. Quite inspiring, right? And yet, after he pursued her for 3 months, she dismissed him as lacking ambition. If that doesn't count as ambition, then what does? Later, she met another man. He hadn't even finished high school, spent his life hustling on the streets, but he was a Guangzhou native with plenty of properties from demolition compensation. Just from rental income, he made 20 to 30,000 yuan a month. After less than a week of chasing her, she agreed to be with him and even moved in together. But his mother didn't approve of her, so the relationship ended. And now? She's back on the dating market. Her requirements today? Still an ambitious man, but also someone who owns a house and a car in Guangzhou, and on top of that, he must be educated and refined. To put it bluntly, he has to be rich, destined to get even richer and cultured as well. Men like that do exist, but let's be honest. How many of them are out there, and among those few, how many would actually choose her?
现在这个二婚市场啊，出现了一件很有意思的事儿。
The second marriage market these days is a complete mess, let me tell you. I was baffled at first. Why are so many incredible single women, whether divorced, widowed, young, or old, still sitting on the shelf unwanted? After digging into it, I figured out the answer, and it boils down to a few key points. First, men have gotten wise, thinking, why should I shell out $500,000 to $700,000 for a bride price, buy gold jewelry, and drop another $100,000 or so, only for her to walk out after a couple of years if she's not happy? Even if the marriage lasts 10 or 20 years, it's the guy footing the bill the entire time, and if he slips up even slightly, maybe treats her a bit off, she gets mad, grabs her bag, and leaves, leaving him with nothing after blowing hundreds of thousands, sometimes his entire fortune. In the end, he's left with neither the woman nor the money, a total loss. So, men are done with it, saying, why marry? I'll just rent instead. Think about it. Spend a few grand, maybe 30 or 50,000 to find someone, and even if it only lasts a year or two if she leaves, he's not out much, it's a small price, and he doesn't feel ripped off. Plus, he can pick whoever he fancies, from women in their 20s to those in their 60s, any type he's into, cheaper, no strings attached, and he can go for exactly the kind of woman he wants, gorgeous, in whatever style he's after. Women are like houses now. If men can't afford to buy, they'll rent because renting's cheap, 10 or 20 grand a year to live somewhere nice, and if they don't like it, they move out and rent a bigger, better place with no responsibilities or headaches. But if they marry, they're out hundreds of thousands for what? No peace, just complaints and constant demands to keep her happy, and if she leaves anyway, all that money's gone for nothing. So, men have figured it out. Why bother with the hassle of marriage? That's why single women, young or old, are like houses on the market with no buyers, just sitting there, plentiful but unwanted. Women are starting to panic, thinking, if no one's buying, what do I do? So they say, fine, I'll rent myself out, staying if it works, grabbing their bag and going if it doesn't, with no fuss or muss, free to find the next one. Meanwhile, men spend a little, get to live in the house, fully enjoy the relationship, and walk away without much loss, having a companion without the long-term commitment. Single women are like cabbages now, cheap, everywhere from 20 to 60 years old, but nobody's buying. This is the real reason so many single women can't find love or a family. Their expectations are through the roof, demanding a massive bride price, a handsome guy with great prospects who can bankroll their entire life, and he's got to be loyal, perfect, and devoted too. Men hear that and think, I spend all this money and get nothing good in return? So they say, I'll just rent, like renting a house. Women are now in a market with demand but no real value. No one's willing to pay that inflated price. In the future, women will have to beg men to marry them, shower them with gifts, treat them like kings, maybe even wash their feet or scrub their backs, to touch their hearts and convince them to take the plunge. If women don't do that, men won't even glance their way. That's the harsh reality of the single market now. Sisters, doesn't this sting a bit? These words hit all of us where it hurts, don't they? After my last video, my inbox was flooded with messages about this. So today, I'm laying it all out exactly as I said it, no filter, word for word. I'm telling you, big brother, are you still dreaming or what? Time to wake up.
这年头找个上门女婿比登天都难呀。
These days, finding a man willing to be a live-in son-in-law is harder than reaching the sky. My parents have already made up their minds. The man must move into our family. At this rate, I might never get married, and now you finally understand why I'm still single. I once thought women would always have options, that even at 70 or 80, there would still be men around. But my parents keep raising the bar, and when I heard their new conditions, I was absolutely stunned. So, let me lay them out for you. First, age. At one point, I thought of marrying a 70 or 90-year-old just to spite them, but no, they insist the man must be young, ideally under 40. Anyone above 40 is off the list because, in their eyes, it would be shameful and make them lose face. Then comes height. He just needs to be taller than me, around 1.70 meters or more. Education? Not important. As long as he can write the numbers 1-2-3-4-5, that's enough. Diplomas don't equal ability. That's their motto. But income is the real kicker. The poorer, the better. Ideally, he should be a 000 man. No house, no car, no savings.
Why?
Because, according to my parents, a wealthy man would never agree to be a live-in son-in-law. Only someone dirt poor would. So the poorer he is, the more suitable he becomes. As for marital status, my parents even say they prefer divorced men with children. Their reasoning? I'm not getting any younger, and if I can't have kids later, at least his children can support my parents in their old age. Of course, they also assured me that they wouldn't treat him badly. Whatever he deserves, he'll get. Whatever he shouldn't dream of, he won't. And that's it. The standards are set. Whoever actually qualifies would be considered a great blessing to our family. As for me, all I can do now is wish my parents the best of luck in their quest to find the poor, penniless son-in-law of their dreams.
不怕大家笑话，我今年36岁了。
I'm not afraid of being laughed at for saying this, but I'm 36 years old this year and still single. To put it bluntly, I'm at an age where most would call me an old maid. In many places, girls get married and have kids by 18, and by 36, their kids are already grown, hitting 18 themselves. Yet here I am, still on my own. I've sighed more than once, wondering if there's just no one out there meant for me, if I'm destined to grow old alone, facing life's challenges all by myself. If one day my parents are no longer here, I'll be left completely alone in this world, no family, no one close, just me, facing everything on my own.
如果你屋企有囡囡嘅話，為咗囡囡嘅幸福，你哋一定要好好聽完呢條視頻。
If you have a daughter at home, for her happiness, you need to listen closely to this advice about her marriage. There are 4 types of men she should absolutely avoid. First, don't let her marry into a family that's dirt poor. It's not about the guy's looks or height. Those don't matter as much, but marrying someone so broke they're practically penniless is a no-go. Money isn't everything, but a life free of financial burdens is what lasts, because a poor couple will face endless struggles and heartache. Second, steer clear of stingy men. Pass on them immediately. If a guy earns $100 but only spends a single buck on his wife and kids, how can you live like that? Third, avoid men whose parents are unreasonable, especially if their family favors sons over daughters. That's a hard pass, not even worth considering. Fourth, don't marry a guy with an overblown sense of male superiority. A marriage thrives on mutual support, not on him constantly demanding she revolve her life around the family. If this makes sense to you, give it a like and share it with your daughters to let them know what to watch out for. We have just journeyed together through a labyrinth of emotions, listening to voices from every corner of modern Chinese society. From the profound loneliness of a 36-year-old woman and the helplessness of a daughter whose family wants a son-in-law who is the poorer, the better, to the bitter awakening of men who feel they are nothing more than financial instruments. All of this paints a portrait of contradictions about love and marriage in our time. On the surface, this may seem like an endless battle between men and women, a cold negotiation over money, bride prices, houses, and responsibilities. But if we look deeper, perhaps the greatest lesson isn't about who is right or wrong, or who should give more. The lesson lies in the tragic difference between price and value. Modern society, with its immense economic pressures, has inadvertently pushed us into pricing human beings. A woman is priced by her youth. A man is priced by his financial capability. We get so lost in arguing over the price of a marriage that we forget the core value of a life partner, respect, empathy, loyalty, and the companionship to weather life's storms together. The man doesn't truly want to be alone. He craves respect. The woman doesn't truly demand material things. She craves security and to be cherished. The tragedy occurs when both sides use the wrong language to express their needs, turning love into a financial contract. Perhaps, then, the path to happiness isn't about finding a perfect person by society's standards, but about finding someone who sees your true value, even when your price on the marriage market is no longer high. That is the most precious asset of all. Thank you for listening and reflecting with Chinese Emotion. What are your thoughts on this? Please leave a comment below. See you in the next video.